What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Cantina Corner podcast. I am your host, Adam, here with my co-hosts, Cody and Nick. As always, we are at full capacity, so make sure you grab yourself a nice beverage, grab yourself a seat, get comfortable, because we are getting into something very interesting. I know I say that a lot, but today is a very, very hot topic.
It's spicy.
Very spicy. It is
hot off the presses.
No shit. That's literally what it is. Hot off the presses. We're getting into Fauci's emails, but before we get into that, as always, this episode is sponsored by Rep Sports, the proud owner of Raise Energy Drinks. Make sure you use the discount code Cantina Corner at checkout. It'll save you 15% on anything that you order from them. Cody's repping it right there in the video. Make sure you try out their products. Use our code Cantina Corner at checkout. 15%, save you discount. Highly recommend it. All right, boys. Fauci's emails. How are we feeling about it?
Feeling like you should have talked to Hillary about deleting them, dude.
Honestly, this is exactly why she used a private server. She knew the Freedom of Information Act could bite you in the ass.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the perks of being a politician as opposed to a doctor. He didn't know how to do that.
He should have known. The dude's. It's crazy too. I found out too. He's the highest paid government official.
Yeah, and he's not
ridiculous. Elected. Yeah, that's insane.
Nope. And he's
been
plastered
around
all over.
For a few
Since,
administrations.
1984.
Yeah. Kind of crazy.
It's insane. It's crazy. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, tuning in, if you haven't been looped into it, because I haven't seen much of it on the, like, I would say video news on TV and stuff like that. Usually you see it in the ticker tape on the bottom. But there's been stuff going around about how today, due to the Freedom of Information Act, about 1,000 or more of Fauci's emails have been provided publicly to be viewed under the Freedom of Information Act. And I've had a hard time personally, I don't know about these guys, but I've had a hard time personally finding them online, like a full list, download link, whatever. The only thing that I can do is many millions of searches as I've tried to like type in different stuff on Google and everything else, is just other news sources talking about it, citing certain ones, and then maybe posting some on the bottom. I have not seen a full list. So keep that in mind. This is the information we're going off of from what we can find. But they're very interesting. I mean, I want to get your guys' opinion. Like, what have you read? What have you thought about it compared to what has been said publicly? Like, what are your thoughts?
I just want to say the reason you're not finding a full list is because Julian Assange wasn't pardoned. But
well, there you go. That is true.
Yeah, if he was here, I'm sure we'd have a full list compiled.
Oh yeah, it would be a true leak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is surprising BuzzFeed did publish this, being the news source they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but I don't know. I say save your time reading the emails. Who really cares? It really just confirms stuff that we've seen going on the last year anyways. Of him flip-flopping publicly at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. He's paid. I believe he's taking money to say whatever.
Oh yeah, no. Big Pharma is definitely paying him. He's definitely a mouthpiece for him, that's for sure. I mean, look how hard they've been pushing the vaccine and all that, and then trying to hurry up and do it before states were opening on a more wider basis. Like, they were really trying to get that out there.
I mean, well, not that I wasn't already personally worried about getting a vaccine, but now it's like after all this comes out, and now like they're incentivizing people getting it. It just like increases my fear of getting it.
Not to mention, even in West Virginia, the most recent crazy incentive that I've seen, and it was on public TV. They showed it on the news. They were doing giveaways on guns in West Virginia.
I seen something about that. I didn't know if that was for real or not.
That was legit. I don't know the exact official that was there. I saw the video. It was like in passing when I was doing something in the middle of the day. I watched it on my phone. I couldn't believe it. But I did see it like reported in another news source. They were talking about it on like, I think CNN or Fox or something like that, about how like crazy it was. But yeah, they're doing giveaways on guns. We've got guns, we've got beer, ice cream, cookies,
millions
full
of
ride
dollars,
scholarships, millions of dollars. I mean, you name it. I mean, what? I mean, are they going to start giving away free sex next? I mean, what's going to happen? Yeah. And
still
I mean,
get it done.
To prove on your point, Cody, because just to give into one of the emails right here, which is the one that I have highlighted on my screen right now, when you were talking about how you're convinced that Fauci's getting paid in some way, which I find that very interesting because I believe that as well. I mean, all these people are getting paid one way or another, whether it's legitimized or not. But in this email from Anthony Fauci, to Courtney Billett, or however you would say it, Courtney Billet. Right here it says, Fauci wrote back, I will write to or call Mark, which they're referring to Mark Zuckerberg, and tell him that I am interested in doing this. I will then tell him that you will get for him the name of the USG point of contact. I agree it should be Bill Hall, who could then turf to the White House comms if he wishes. Now, he was replying into this original email, which I'm going to state now. Per email below, Mark Zuckerberg has extended a few offers to do videos with you that he would be happy to seek clearance on for you to do if you're amendable. These would have the weight and impact of television, really more so. Please advise if you want to do, and we will seek clearance from the VP, Vice President office, and work with Patty to sort out the logistics. Now, this is where it gets interesting because there's a part in here that's redacted. But an even bigger deal in his offer, referring to Mark Zuckerberg's offer, after that, it is completely redacted. Then it says the sooner we get that offer up the food chain, the better. And then it continues on to say, I give Bill Hall a heads up about this opportunity and he is standing by to discuss. This is blah, blah, blah. And they go on to talk about basically we need to get this done as soon as possible. This would be good for us. But when it says, but an even bigger deal in his offer, and it's completely redacted, and it says the sooner the better we get this up the food chain, it's like, what was redacted? If we're talking about videos from Mark Zuckerberg and promotion, and there's a ton of emails in here about, publicizing on Facebook and getting things up within 48 hours about social distancing and coronavirus, that's fine. But like, what was this other big offer and why was it written off from the email?
What I don't understand is how it even is possible to redact that anyways. Isn't this National Institute of Health like property? Like, this isn't the CIA and bullshit where even a lot of that's like, I'm 100% transparency. But like, it's not even, doesn't even fall under that umbrella. So it's like, how can they even redact this and then just publish it too? Like, I don't understand. That makes no sense to me. There's no need to redact it. He's not part of the intelligence community.
Or is he, dude?
That's like,
that's the
thing.
Doesn't
make any sense.
I mean, part of being a part of the intelligence community is not being a part of the intelligence committee. You know what I mean? It's like the essence of spy. And you go through all of these emails, there's stuff redacted in every single one. Now, I get when you're trying to redact like people in power, like their actual email address and stuff like that for security reasons. I get that. Whatever.
Yeah,
I don't need. And you see that all over the place. But when we're seeing stuff that says like, but even a bigger deal, and they're like making it a big deal, and then that's taken out, and they're like, we need to get this up as soon as possible. It's like, well, what was that? Like, well, what was the deal? What are you working with? Because we're talking with a doctor who's working with government officials in an email discussing things with big corporations, which is a lot of what people talk about in conspiracies, which we've talked about ourselves. I mean, government and big corporations, it's always the thing that people like to throw out. And then you're redacting.
Not even a conspiracy either. It's just what it is. I mean, the left loves talking about it and, they're all about it.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying conspiracy because of shit like this, when there's like no hard proof because it's erased, written, whatever. And this is like case in point right here, and this is off BuzzFeed, no matter where you get your news sources, this is the best I could find other than Washington Post. But every time I click on them anymore, they won't let me look at it unless I pay them. And I'm not fucking paying to look at their shit again.
Yeah, it's already surprising enough, honestly, like really surprising that they're the ones who requested the FOIA and got all this. Even though I know they probably tried to spin it. I've seen a lot of different outlets try to spin it good for Fauci, like, oh, this pressure he was under, blah, blah, blah. But that's why it leads me to believe that they're just kind of jumping out in front of like more of the shit before it becomes more public or something like that. Try and spin themselves a good reputation since, I mean, we've seen the last 4 years, a lot of these news outlets shredded any type of reputation that they had.
Oh, yeah.
With the whole Russiagate thing, so.
He's a fall guy, dude. 100%.
Definitely fall guy.
He's the fall guy.
Yeah.
He's I remember
take this. I remember when you had mentioned that earlier today when we were discussing this, when this all first came out, and I was like, he's the easiest to go to. He's easy. It's an easy choice. He's not a politician. He's not paid. He's not elected. He's an easy one to burn.
He's just a big enough name to satisfy everyone's hunger. Like I even said, even though I know he's a fall guy, I'm here for it. Like, I'll watch him die.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. I mean, I was talking to Nick before we started recording. It was an interview right here on CNN Health. Him talking to a CNN reporter in a video call, talking about how they were discussing the specific email, which I haven't been able to find. So unfortunately, I can't reference it for you, and I'm not going to just pull something out of my ass unless I have the information. So just keep that in mind. It was discussing the fact of the lab leak and how, Trump basically, when he was still president, was saying that it originated from Wuhan in the what is it, the virtuality, or what it was with the V, the lab that was in Wuhan.
I don't even
Virology
remember.
lab? I don't know. There's
Virology, yeah.
the Wuhan lab, but
Virology.
then there was the wet market that they said it tried to say
Yeah.
it came from.
Yeah, it was the Wuhan lab of virology. That's what it was. Virology was the term. And Trump said it was from there. Everyone said he's a xenophobe. He's a he's a racist. He's a conspiracy theorist. The whole bit. The media fucking damned him for it. Yada yada. Fauci said he's ridiculous for even thinking that. And there was a specific email that came out which kind of referenced the possibility that Fauci was, even though it was an email sent to him, someone was thanking him for basically, quote unquote, like I said, I don't have the exact info, like saying like, thank you for thinking that this could come from a lab, that is a lab leak, blah blah blah. And in this interview, he's sitting there saying that he's like, I never once said that it was a lab leak. I stand by my animal transmission. He goes that I believe that it was like not biracial, but by animal, like animal to human in some way. And he goes, but I am open-minded, and I can still be open-minded to say that it could be a lab leak, but I stand by my statement that it was from an animal to human, but I'm still open-minded that it could possibly. So he's basically saying it could be both. I stand by my statement, but I'm open-minded to say it could be this, which is to me covering his ass.
Same, but different.
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly. So he's just covering his ass because he's the one who gave that dude that was thanking him for saying it was a natural origin or whatever, not the lab leak, was the person who was the head of that Eco Health Alliance or whatever that took the money from the NIH and then transferred it to the Wuhan lab. So that way there's like that degree of separation too, which also it puts him in this position to cover his ass where he plays these like word games. It just comes down to that semantics, really.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, you really didn't see a push for this lab thing because it was like, if you brought it up, you were a fucking conspiracy theorist. You were crazy.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Just because it was attached to Trump.
Yeah,
that's
basically
literally
Trump
the only
said
reason.
it, and that's why. But I mean, really, it was, I think, when Ron Paul a few weeks ago pressured Fauci on it. That's when it kind of became like public, like, oh, maybe this is someone else who's. I mean, Ron Paul's pretty respected by both sides, I feel like.
Rand
For
Paul.
the most part, Rand Paul, whatever. His daddy gets me confused, dude. I got a
his
love
dad's a
affection
baller,
with his
though.
dad, dude. Sorry.
His dad's a baller. So
What do you want me to do? But yeah, I think I don't want to get worked into a shoot, so I'm gonna try to hold back.
Well, no, it is true though. That is kind of when this kind of started gaining more traction because people were able to see too Fauci put under pressure and start spinning that narrative, like see him really walk that fine line during this like interrogation, like, and you could really see like, okay, yeah, you're literally just trying to cover your ass here,
Yeah.
like it's in that. I think that is when this started like being more a thing, and that's probably why, again, like I said, they're kind of jumping out from before this thing catches more steam because they had that come out. They seen it was like, a lot more people watching it and catching on, and then they're like, let's just get this shit out there and try and spin what we can.
I mean, we opened up an investigation into it, and then Biden canceled it to start his own.
Yeah.
And something funny to tether to that. So he cancels Trump's, like you said, Cody, and starts his own in the same place, China, right? He starts his probe into China, which they tried to say that they were making it more of an international effort where they want China to do their part to provide information instead of like digging into China, is how they were phrasing it. At least from what's his press secretary, Polanski or Psaki, whatever her name is.
Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski.
Sorry, there's a lot of people with like. It's been a long week. But yeah, that's how she phrased it. And you look at that right now, and if there is nothing from China now, I understand that China is a big player in, you do what we want, you do how we want, whether it's in the entertainment industry, the political arena, whatever you want. They want it done their way, and they will do what they can, and they will squeeze the money chain if they have to make it happen.
Yeah.
And this is obviously from, like I said, news source, whatever. It's from Newsweek because it's the only one I could find. But this is a real thing. China state media says country must prepare for nuclear war with U.S. after Biden asks for COVID probe. Right now, and you can find tons of this on Twitter, Newsweek, all different
Seen that
sources.
earlier this week, actually.
China
I did
is,
see that.
yeah, China's threatening us with a possible nuclear war. They're saying that they're amping up their nuclear game right now because Biden's asking for a probe. All right. Now, if you have nothing to hide and you weren't the cause of creating something, why are you getting so pissed that you're threatening to fight us? And you have to look at this from the lens of a country that when a movie comes out and they don't like something, they change it or they have it changed in their country, right? We've talked about it tons of times on this
They
channel,
don't
whether
change it
it's
in just their country
Yeah.
anymore.
It's
Top
all
Gun
over the
wasn't
place.
just changed for Chinese screens. They changed that for the worldwide movie.
but that's what I'm saying. At first it was them and now it's everybody, right? And what happened with Mulan, it's happened with a ton of movies, all this shit.
John Cena.
And now, yeah, John Cena making that public apology like we talked about. And now you've got us probing into this country, which Trump's already had a probe into them before, right? We haven't had this much of a threat from them when he did it. Biden wants to do it, and all of a sudden they're threatening.
Yeah, because he knows he ain't going to do anything.
Exactly.
That's what I think. It's just saber rattling, more so by China. I don't think they're actually going to launch a nuclear war over this,
No.
but I think it's more of them just asserting their dominance on the international stage. That's all it is.
And I was actually talking to Nick about this before we started recording. I had a conversation with somebody, and I'm not going to say who out of his personal privacy, but I was having a conversation about our former president and our current president, and it was kind of a heated debate, kind of loud, but it was very, very constructive. It was just heated on both sides about opinions, and I was saying that yes, all presidents suck in some way. None of them are perfect. All right. They're all fucked up in some way. That's just how it is. All right. If you get your head wrapped around that, let's get to brass tacks. Let's figure out the actual shit that matters. Right. So prior presidency, yes, say what you want about him, whether you liked him or not, shit was stable because everyone knew you aren't going to fuck with him because you don't know, he doesn't give a shit. He's going to flip the switch. You start some shit, he's going to flip the switch, right? Nothing happened in those 4 years. We had a lull. Everything was calm. There wasn't a lot of tension. There wasn't a lot of crazy shit. The minute Biden gets into office, everything starts going erratic, right? China's threatening us the minute that we do anything towards them, right? You've got the Israeli-Palestine thing going on. You've got North Korea yelling at us. You've got fucking Russia going nuts. It's no coincidence that they're not afraid of him. They have no respect for this man whatsoever. And so if he's going to make a probe, they're going to threaten us with nuclear war. Now, like Nick says, they're probably not going to do it, but it's like, what do they have to hide? You know what I mean? Like, what if you have nothing to hide, let us investigate or show us the proof. It's just that simple.
Listen, it's not just Biden. It's our government is in bed with the Chinese Communist Party. They have been for years.
I agree.
Think about BlackRock. All of the cabinet members in Biden's cabinet is from BlackRock, and they have what was that thing we were talking about the one day, Cody? It was like they have like a vast majority of their investment is in the Chinese market, something like that. Like
and Hunter Biden's connected to them, and
yeah,
that's a whole thing. But I mean, this really goes back to fucking Bill Clinton. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people always talk about. A lot of people forget about Chinagate because all we talk about is Monica Lewinsky, but Chinagate's really why the guy was kicked out. Like, that's why he lost his presidency. That's why he was impeached. It had nothing. It played a part, Monica Lewinsky, but
the Monica Lewinsky stuff was the story to cover up the whole China stuff.
Right, exactly.
Because it's something salacious too that the American public's going to really get into. Something that's dramatic and stuff. Sex sells. That's exactly what it was.
Yep.
This president's getting blowjobs. They needed something to cover the whole Chinagate stuff.
Exactly. It's been going on. It was probably going on before that, but that's the last, obviously in our lifetime that I can really remember. And it's just been going on ever since. I mean, you've seen it, the way that our government's cucked out to China. And yeah, Trump didn't for the most part. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm so pissed about this shit. I'm trying not to get worked up and swear a lot. I was on the phone with Nick earlier and I was getting pretty heated and he's like, stop, save it for the podcast. And here I am trying to be calm.
Vent.
Like I said, I got in a conversation with someone today about it and we were both getting loud, not in an angry, unconditional, being stupid type of way, but it was just like heated about the entire thing, because when you talk about this stuff about government doing dirty shit and government, like, you get emails coming out and like, news is saying
Confirmation
one.
of the stuff he thought was going on.
Yeah.
Just like you're getting like, this is true and this is not true, but this is now true and this is false and it's just left and right and this and that. And it's like, what? It comes to a point where I feel like when it comes to like this COVID stuff with Fauci and, the stuff going globally with our country and these emails being sent out and stuff getting redacted and having to figure out what happened. It's like, I just, at one point, do we as a people just come together and just
wake the fuck up
and just look at these assholes and go, fuck you, dude. Like, we're done. Like, we're done.
Happen.
We're done sitting here like letting you just puppet us around and be like, vote for me, look at this, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, and just pitting us against each other. We're literally pieces on a chessboard for these motherfuckers. If you think of like those chessboards that you can buy at presidents, because I know that tons of people have them, like
Nicholas's dad has one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're entertaining, but like if you think about it, like the way the world is, it's reversed. Like we're sitting there playing with like the presidents on chess pieces, but in real life, they're playing with us on a fucking chessboard. That's how it is. Like, that's
look
the
at the
best
way they segregate us where we live. Even though it's, where we choose to live, but it's, we divide ourselves when you look at it.
Like, it's just insane.
I don't know years, bro.
Like the person I was talking to today, he said to me, and I agreed with him because I feel like that all the time. And I worked for the government at one point when I served in the military, and I have a little bit of that aspect of working for these sons of bitches and seeing how they operate. And he was like, I just don't know who to trust anymore. I don't. And I was like, welcome to the club. Like I worked under their thumb. I worked outside of their fucking thumb. And I could tell you from personal experience, I don't know who the fuck to trust anymore. I've never.
Sure as hell can't trust anybody from the government. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Fuck the government.
Just trust your own eyes and what you read and process that information and decide.
And that's kind of what these emails are like a case in point to. When you see something like this, it's like, who the fuck do you trust?
At some point, there has to be a breaking point, right? There has to be a point where people are just
Hopefully.
like, okay, I can't continue to defend these people because I've already seen and heard people with the Fauci emails about the masks, because there's something in there where he like admits that the COVID particles are so small that masks aren't effective.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I've heard this argument all day today from people. Well, the science can change. No, those particles are not just going to grow all of a sudden. Like that's the science right there. He gave you the science and the data right there. It's not just going to fucking change like that. It's not fucking photosynthesis. Like, what the fuck? This shit pisses me off, dude.
The idea that the science can change just like that every time, like it's just it's like it changes, yes, but not like that. And you can clearly tell again when he's sitting down for the interviews that like, he's just making shit up, like dancing around stuff.
Exactly.
Like, normal politician answers, like.
And the emails where hydroxychloroquine is probably is definitely an effective way to treat COVID. Well, then why the fuck are you going on TV and saying there's not enough data for that, but in emails you're saying otherwise? And it's the same, same thing I told a guy at work. Like, sure, Trump does. I mean, he is an idiot, but he does have some above average IQ.
Yeah.
But that dude leaned on Fauci so hard, he had to have heard the hydroxychloroquine thing from him.
I guarantee
he can't. There's no way Trump just came up with that himself. You know what I mean?
No, he's not that good to come up with that. I will admit that.
Like, Trump leaned on Fauci like he was a crutch during this thing. And honestly, I think that's what fucked him over in the end.
And you know what? A point to go towards what you're saying there, to show that Fauci would make something up like that, or at least have Trump hear that, knowing maybe that he'll, go and talk about that publicly and then be able to come out publicly and spin that narrative against it. He went on Rachel Maddow's show and she was talking to him about, we've been trying to get you on forever. And he's like, yeah, I've been trying to be on for months and months and months. But, he's like, let's just call it what it is. I've been blocked, basically. And we all know why that is. When it was a complete blatant lie, because in his emails, he made sure to spell out for these people, I'm free to speak my mind. There's no blocking. There's no censorship.
Yeah.
Like, I'm free to do this. So just to go to prove to that point even more that he's capable of that.
Yeah. Well, he said that before. And I know their little pressers that he thinks the administration and the White House was doing a great job of including them and, the doctors and the scientists in the conversations about what was going on. But all of a sudden Trump's gone and now the story's changed. The science has changed, dude.
He knew what shows to go on to play his parts when he needed to act,
absolutely.
and then other parts not to. And then now that Trump is gone, it's okay to start talking about the lab leak theory again.
And that's the thing, is that the science didn't change, the narrative did.
Right.
They started losing control of the narrative.
Yeah, and I mean, I've watched it randomly in the past couple days, even prior to today's release of the information of his emails. You've looked at all this stuff, especially today when it finally got put public. CNN, Fox, everyone, no matter what side of the line they cross, you've seen them all kind of slowly eking out, like it could be a lab leak, it could not, but we're not ruling it out. But before, it was complete horse shit. And everyone was like, there's no fucking way. It's complete preposterous. He's insane. Everyone who says it is insane. All this shit. Now it's like, well, maybe, but we're looking into it. And it's like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, it's all because it came out of Trump's mouth, dude.
He's gone. They can't even come close to
justifying anything.
Some type of agreement. Yeah, some type of agreement with him or justifying what he said. Everything doesn't matter. He could say the sky's blue, and they gotta say no, it's not.
Yeah,
and I'm not because he said it.
And I know you guys could agree with me. I'm not even sitting here trying to like defend Trump. If it was anybody that said that, I'm defending the fucking truth.
It's just the fact of what it was. People really got overboard with how much they hated Trump, and it didn't matter what he said. They would just deny it no matter what. And it didn't make sense. It was like, okay, I don't like the guy much either, but it's like, you can't be crazy about this. Like, you gotta live somewhat in reality. Like,
yeah. There's tons of people that I've hated in my life. But when I know they've said something factual, or I had to listen to them because it needed to be done, I've put that shit aside. You put emotion aside. All right. Like it goes to the simple fact of when I talk about, when people are like, well, we can't do that. We can't do that. Other countries laugh at us. Other countries do this. It's like, do you think our enemies give a shit about what the fuck we feel or how we're being towards other people? They don't give a fuck. Yeah. They don't care. They will do whatever they need to do for their personal interests. And like you need to put feelings aside when it comes to serious situations like this, when it comes to facts, when it comes to science, when it comes to all of this. You need to put all of that feelings aside. You need to set feelings from what reality is. And the problem in this country, in my personal opinion, I'm speaking for myself because I would never lump anyone into what I'm saying. Feelings is what is ruining everything. Feelings is what's ruining common sense. Feelings is what's ruining science. All of that. Like, you need to think logically, common sense. Like, you need to just fuck everything you see on TV, everything you read on social media, everything, whatever. You need to just look at what you see factually written on paper. Like I've always talked about, policy, emails, all those things. That's what you need to focus on. Like, what you feel doesn't matter because the world will still fucking turn. The world will still do what it does. Corona will still happen. All this shit's going to keep going no matter what you feel.
Feel better?
Try not.
Do you feel better? I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
No, I was just gonna go back. Like, this is why I told you guys I think Fauci's gonna be a fucking fall guy for this. One, it is weird that it's, of all people, the news sources that are breaking this story are who they are, which tells me that, like we talked about with the Ron Paul thing when he was pressuring him, that they were getting close to. I feel like they felt like, okay, this is getting like a little too close to the truth and the home. We cannot have this exposed because there's no doubt in my mind people know exactly what happened. And if Fauci takes the fall for it and it just all ends with him and they can just cut this off at the legs, they're gonna fucking do it.
Oh, and it's easy.
Basically his own side. I mean, I don't know really what side he is. I mean, you can kind of tell.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, he's the side of the shit's fucks, but
shit's fucks.
If they could cut him off at the legs, dude, and we don't have to investigate China, nothing has to come out. I mean, I said it from the beginning, and I don't think anything's ever gonna change my opinion on this. This shit was fucking released on purpose to end the Hong Kong fucking protests because they could not fucking slow that shit down. It was like
No.
one of the first times in fucking years since they fucking sent tanks within their own country that they were losing control of protests and what was going on. And I remember Nicholas and I were like, we were following that shit so closely because we were like, it's fucking weird
Yeah.
that these people are protesting, holding Trump flags, holding American flags. Like they are fucking
It
like,
was strange.
it was like their last stand. They were fucking going at it. And once the fucking NBA got involved, it became world known because there was like a 2-week period where just no talk of it whatsoever.
No.
You turn on the news, they're not even talking about it. But as soon as an NBA GM tweeted about it, it became world renowned news because China was like, yep, NBA no longer in China. Gone. And the NBA had to fucking suck China's cock to get back in there. And that's when LeBron made the ignorant statement about people need to educate themselves. Fucking dumbest thing ever. Fucking moron.
The first I heard about the China stuff going on was through a British news network, which is usually what I hear my stuff from a global news network is from what the fuck do they
Australian news, that's the best, dude.
Well, them too. I love them too, but it was from a British news network. I forgot what the fuck it is. BBC, thank you.
Big black.
But it was BBC that I heard it from, and that's when I started following it. And then it just I like you. I've always thought I was like, it's just such a weird coincidence that all this shit happens, and then all of a sudden this breaks out, and everyone's got a quarantine. All this crazy stuff goes on, and then you can't tell me that happens. Then they shut everything down with a virus. Now we're trying to probe them, and now they're trying to threaten us with nuclear war. It's like you connect these dots. We've got tic-tac-toe, motherfucker. Like it's a line. Like we've connected 1, 2, 3. It's over.
Well,
like
I really think the reason that they decided to go with this was they thought they could control it. They obviously couldn't.
No.
And 2, before they started protesting, you had fucking France and Europe with the fucking yellow vest protesting that was going on, and that was fucking deadly, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that was some deadly shit that was just not covered in the news either.
Yeah, so I don't feel like a lot of people knew that there was like a mini revolution going on in France, and still kind of going on to this day. Like,
Viva la resistance again, dude.
I remember going on Twitter all the time, and I'd try and retweet the stuff and get it out there, and then after a while, just gone.
Yeah.
All of it was just gone. I couldn't find go back to any of the sources I was going to get that shit. Like, it was just wiped off of Twitter.
But that happened like as Hong Kong protests started. I feel like they were like, okay, before this gets here, now that all the eyes are on what's going on here, we need to shut this shit down right the fuck now. Boom. Pandemic.
Yep.
I don't think they planned on it being a global scale. But like I said, I think they just underestimated the power of what they created. Or mutated. I should say mutated. I shouldn't say like they necessarily just created it from nothing. It's what do they say, like SARS, other COVID strands, and fucking HIV. Like it's got the structure, the structure of HIV. That's how it attacks humans. Like you can't tell me how the fuck is that all 3 of those just put into one thing without it being in a lab. And I remember that fucking, I forget her name, that blonde bitch, that doctor who came out right away and said that this was probably gain of function stuff that Fauci funds. And oh man, if you shared that video on YouTube, it was getting fucking deleted.
You were taken down immediately.
You were getting called conspiracy theorist. I would love for that bitch to get interviewed again. She's probably dead. Fast. She's probably dead. But I would love to hear her get interviewed again. Just so she could be like, I told you guys fucking a year and a half ago.
You even say the word COVID on YouTube anymore, and you're either striked, taken down, or you've got the little ticker banner under there.
Oh, we'll have the ticker banner when I post this.
Yeah, we've had it multiple times already.
Yeah.
Just from just talking about different stuff.
And the stuff we talked about has been like the general facts of everything too, like
or just regurgitating the news that we're reading off of line. They're not getting a COVID ticker, and we're just talking about literally verbatim what they have, and we're getting a COVID ticker. We're getting fact checked for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like I'm literally reading what you've put on that you said is okay, and they're like, yeah, but you're not allowed to say it. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
You know, that was I don't want to say surprising, but just kind of like I hope eye-opening for people, seeing how closely in touch that he was literally working with Zuckerberg on stuff about censoring stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
Just to what I hope more so that it does, and like I said, it's not necessarily surprising for me, but what I hope that opens people's eyes to is how they get together with these companies and can morph and massage a narrative out there and like really warp people's thinking on this. Like reading through these emails, you could really see how that happens and how these aren't just fucking private companies like people like to say.
Yeah.
I used to be that stupid back a while ago too and be like, oh, they're private companies and they can do it.
No.
And then I like grew up and opened my eyes. I'm like, no, these people ain't private companies. They might like to act like that to do certain things, but when you see stuff like this, that's just what I hope it really opens people's eyes to is how that close that relationship is.
Since you brought that up, I'm going to read one of the top emails off this page, off of BuzzFeed here, because it's from Mark Zuckerberg to Fauci. I'm going to read it in its entirety, just to be full disclosure, just so that you can see from a head of a corporation to Fauci what he's talking about. He says, Tony, I wanted to send a note of thanks for your leadership and everything you're doing to make our country's response to this outbreak as effective as possible. I also wanted to share a few ideas of ways we could help you get your message out, but I understand you're incredibly busy, so don't feel a need to reply unless this seems interesting. This isn't public yet, but we're building a coronavirus information hub that we're going to put at the top of Facebook for everyone, in parentheses, 200 plus million Americans, 2.5 billion people worldwide, end parentheses, with two goals. Number one, make sure people can get authoritative information from reliable sources. And number two, encourage people to practice social distance and give people ideas for doing this using internet tools. This will be live within the next 48 hours. Now, this was dated on March 15th of 2020. As a central part of this hub, I think it would be useful to include a video from you because people trust and want to hear from experts rather than just a bunch of agencies and political leaders. This could be done in a number of formats if you're open to it. Probably best would be recording a Q&A where you answer people's top questions, but we'd open up to other formats too. I'm also doing a series of live streams, Q&As, with health experts to try to use my large following on the platform, in parentheses, 100 million followers, end parentheses, to get authoritative information out as well. I'd love to have you do one of these Q&As. This could be the video we put in the coronavirus hub, or it could be a different thing that we distribute separately, but I think it could be effective as well. Finally, comma, like 4 sentences are redacted in the finally statement. Then it says, again, I know you're incredibly busy, so don't feel the need to respond if this doesn't seem helpful. If this is easy to talk live, give me a call anytime on my mobile number, and that's redacted. Thanks again for everything you're doing, Mark. So that finally, comma, there's literally 4 lines redacted. So we don't know what he says finally in the end of that. After all that shit.
Again, what's with the redactions? This isn't some like covert CIA bullshit. Like,
Yeah,
this
and
dude works at the National Institute of Health. Like, what the fuck?
yeah, and I'll link this on our Facebook page for anyone that's listening right now who may want to see it or think otherwise. This BuzzFeed page, because this is the best way that I've been able to see any of these emails. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of BuzzFeed, but I wanted to see the emails. I will link this on our Facebook page, and we will try to put this in a link in the YouTube comments anywhere we can, so that you can see what we're seeing and we're talking about, so you can read it for yourself. But it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like, why is it redacted? Like, why? I'm not
really
looking at
makes
some
no
black
sense.
ops shit. This isn't freedom of information if you're taking away the biggest
Right.
parts of it.
That's where it's like it does. Part of me wants to go down that rabbit hole where it's like this guy is like some intelligence like
He probably
officer or
is.
some shit like that. I could totally see it. Like, and it would make sense too that he only went on select shows and spread the narrative on select shows like he did, like Rachel Maddow's show.
Yeah, she's a
Like,
fucking cuck.
She is, yeah, and she's nuts. She's crazy as fuck.
All right, this is a joke, but I got a buddy who the one time I was talking about Rachel Maddow, and they were like, I'm not sure who that is, and I sent a picture of her to him. He's like, oh, I know who that is. I know. He's like, I know who he is. It was so funny, dude.
Oh,
He's like, I
love
know
that,
that
man.
guy.
That guy's news clips are the best.
Russia. It's probably Russia.
But yeah, it leads me to it like you want to go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, and that's another thing that's fine. I mean, everything's fine to blame on Russia, but the minute anyone blames anything on China, it's a fucking problem. You ever find that weird? Russia's okay, but China's not okay.
People come to their defense.
What'd you say, Cody?
I said, don't you find prostitution being a crime weird?
Yeah.
I'm being dead ass serious here.
I mean,
OnlyFans is acceptable, but God forbid you pay the woman to touch her. Crime.
Yep.
You could pay the woman to see her naked and see her touch herself. But man, if she asks money from you to touch her, crime.
Yeah, and she can do what she wants, but if you say anything weird and you're hashtagged, that's a crime. That's a social crime.
Yeah. Social credit score. You'll take a hit.
I've never even heard of hashtagging, so. Actually, I want to talk
never hashtag that ass,
Did
dude?
you? I heard about this on Joe Rogan. He had what's his name? Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son, on.
Yeah.
And they were
the
talking
actor.
about this is totally unrelated to everything, but it's fucking sweet, and it has to do with prostitution. That's why it was on my head. They were teaching chimps the value of money in a study. Like every time the chimps did like a treat or they cleaned up after themselves or something, they would give them a coin.
Okay.
And they taught them that the coin was valuable because if they turned the coin in, they got like fruit or a dessert or something. They were teaching them you can use this to exchange for something. So in the report, the first fucking thing that the males did was give their coins to the females to fuck them. Prostitution became the first fucking thing that the chimps did. And the females knew, like, oh, these things are valuable. Yeah, go ahead. Like they
come on in.
Yeah, dude. Joe Rogan was talking about it. It was funny too, because he's like, the women were just stacking up the chips, dude. He's like, the males didn't care about dessert. They just wanted some ass.
They just knew that coin was gonna buy what they wanted.
Exactly.
That's all it was.
It's crazy.
God.
It's a crazy thing. Think about like the first thing they go to is prostitution.
It is. Hey, it's the oldest job for a reason, the oldest profession for a reason.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I don't understand why it's illegal.
I don't get it either. I mean, like
it's not in Vegas, but it is everywhere else. So tell me how that fucking makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Vegas is okay.
One of us here knows about that.
Huh?
Huh?
Huh? Huh?
You've heard that story.
Huh?
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah, he has.
I'm trying to look at these other emails here to see if there's anything that coincides with what we're talking about, because I mean
there's emails, dude.
There's seriously like it seriously all just confirms what we know, and
it's not even confirmation bias. It's just facts now. It's just dumb.
If you just watch this dude talk about masks don't really do anything for you, it gives people peace of mind, and then later on say that he had to say that because mask shortage for medical professionals.
Yeah.
And then flip-flop just all the time on this stuff.
And then wear two masks to hear it.
Yeah. It's not even confirmation bias at that point when this dude's just doing it publicly on television over and over again.
This is the last one I'll read because this one I think is interesting. I remember this one. This is the last one I'll read in its entirety, and I will link this page for everyone to follow. If they want to read all the stuff that's in here on BuzzFeed, they can do so afterwards. Okay, so right here, it's originally it's from Morgan Fairchild to Anthony Fauci. Says, "Hi, Dr. Fauci. I'm reaching out to see if I can help in any way to get good information out to the public, as I tried to do with AIDS. I have almost 100,000 Twitter followers and have been tweeting articles to them that I feel are helpful. But if you have any info I can help disseminate, please let me know." And in following, Fauci responded to Morgan Fairchild, stating, "Morgan, thanks for the note and the offers to help." And this is in 2020. This is February 27th of 2020. He says, "Morgan, thanks for the note and the offer to help. It would be great if you could tweet to your many Twitter followers that although the current risk of coronavirus to the American public is low, the fact that there is community spread of virus in a number of countries besides China and including South Korea, Japan, Italy, Iran, amongst other, poses a risk and that we may progress to a global pandemic of COVID-19. If that occurs, we will surely have many more cases in the USA. And so for that reason, the American public should not be frightened, but should be prepared to mitigate an outbreak in this country by measures that include social distancing, teleworking, temporary closure of schools, etc. There is nothing to be done right now since there are so few cases in this country, and these cases are being properly isolated. And so go about your daily business. However, be aware that behavioral adjustments may need to be made if a pandemic occurs. Best regards, Tony. And that was
That
in.
I will use as confirmation bias for myself that when they released this to stop that shit going on in Hong Kong, they didn't realize they couldn't control it.
Yep.
They thought they could isolate it, keep it simple, nothing to worry about.
Yep.
Fuck.
Because he said it's not a big issue. It's isolated. We've got it controlled where we have it in the US, no problem. And then it went fucking haywire.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see it because the Communist Party is just full of
Done.
terrible, terrible people.
They're gangsters, dude. They're literally gangsters.
They are pretty
Mobsters, whatever
much.
you wanna call 'em.
I was just watching some the other day on the Tiananmen Square massacre too, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that dude standing in front of the tanks was after they had come in and already slaughtered a bunch of students. It was like the next
Yeah.
day or something, and I was like, damn, because they don't ever give you context like that though. You
No.
just see the picture. They don't tell you it's after people were already slaughtered, and it's
Yeah.
like that guy's balls were so much more bigger than I already thought they were.
Yeah.
If he already seen like his fellow students get slaughtered, and he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna stand in front of this thing anyways. Like.
Yeah. That's what's
Yeah.
Fucking
Hong
insane.
Kong was getting out of control. They had killed some people. They were not able to contain that protest.
Oh, I know it
Because
was getting
You
crazy.
cannot. I'm just never going to be convinced that that's why this was released.
Nope. And that's the thing when you have a population like that of so many people and you've already got population control when it comes to birthings and things like that and laws with shit like that, whether you want to believe it or not, that shit fucking happens.
Yes, sanitizing their
Yeah.
women, sterilizing them.
Well, yeah,
I
now
mean-
they're running into a problem because of that one-child policy where they need people to start having more and more kids.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a population that I watched. I can't remember what it was, but I watched a clip of she was. I don't know if she was native Chinese or just hereditary Chinese from China, and she was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and she was talking about like the whole aspect of China and what the politics are and how China's government views their people and how things are there and what they want you to do. And she was like, you basically there are forced and conditioned to think of China before yourself. Like everything is for China. Like nothing is about yourself. You sacrifice whatever you have to of yourself, your livelihood, your money, your financials, your family, whatever you have to for China. Like
For the
no
greater
one,
good.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like they don't give a shit. They want you to sacrifice for China. But the only people that benefit from that are the people at the top, and those are the people that are calling the shots and doing all this shit politically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's like you
party.
have
That's
a.
how communism works, dude.
I know,
You
but
saw
but
it in the last year, and I can't wait to talk to certain people that I know about this when they talk shit about capitalism because yeah, it's not perfect, but it's way better
No.
than communism. That we went to a very socialist / communist fucking state in this country over the last year and a half. And look who made more fucking money than anybody. Jeff Bezos, fucking the guy who owns Zoom. All the rich people
Yep.
made double the money they normally make.
All
And
those
guess what?
private corporations.
Everybody else lost their job. That's how it fucking works.
yeah, and TikTok got bought out by China, and they own the biggest social media fucking phone app in the world right now.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's just.
Fucking annoying.
And they're the ones that are sitting there taking down everything that they don't want on those fucking apps that people want to share and talk about that don't go to what they want when it comes to COVID, when it comes to protests, when it comes to BLM, when it comes to any type of activism, whatever. If it's not what they want, it's gone.
All the people wanted was just Orange Man out of office. The only one who, for better or worse, the one dude who would give it to China and try and like really pin stuff on him when it needed to be pinned on him, and everybody just had to get him out. So now we just get this bullshit.
Yeah, say
China
what you
gets
want
to help run the investigation that Biden set up, which I mean, the first investigation was some sham bullshit, anyways. But now this,
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't understand if there's already an investigation underway from a logistical standpoint. If you've already got something in place and you're starting something, think about it from a common sense standpoint. You already have something in place. It's going, it's moving. Whether you created it or you agree with how it started, whatever, it's doing kind of what you want in the first place, which is probing the country that you're going to essentially probe yourself if you were to do it yourself. Why wouldn't you let that play out? Why would you think that canceling that and starting your own would be faster or more proficient? To me, that says we're taking a step back to personally do our own, which I understand politically, they can say that, oh, this was ours. We did this. It wasn't his, blah, blah, blah. They could put their stamp on it. I get that. But like, how do people not see that? Like, how do people not see, like, putting emotions aside, like I said earlier, like if you've already got something to do that anyways, just let it ride out or just alter it, but let it keep going. Why do you have to like eliminate it and be like, nope, Trump's name's off of it. It's Biden's now. Blah, blah, blah. It's like,
That's just how politics works, dude.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's like it's so stupid, but people will still argue.
People get caught up in
the government,
their team. They get caught up in their team under fire.
Look at the fucking idiots who think that the Republicans actually and the Democrats always say we're going to lower taxes on the middle class and poor people. We're going to lower the taxes by percentage points. Yeah, okay, you can make the percentage change, but when you create inflation like we've been doing non-fucking stop, inflation's another way of taxation.
I'll tell you what, they definitely lowered the tax on the middle class last year because they just gutted the middle class.
Yeah.
They just took their jobs away. So they're like, look, no taxes.
That's what people wanted, though. We're on a fair playing field now.
That's exactly how this shit works. They don't raise everybody up to a certain level. No, they just start chopping people's fucking legs off so everybody's at the same level. We're all poor.
Exactly. That's why I'm telling you, dude. It's unfortunate because I truthfully, like what I said, I think China released this shit on purpose. I don't think our government actually had anything to do with it.
No. Outside of Fauci just having the money thing, I don't think so either.
Here's what I think. Because at first I think Fauci might have had good intentions, might have been, and this is where I think Trump was getting some good information and how he's turning out to be correct because he was leaning on him early before they got to Fauci and made Fauci like, oh, we can get at Trump if we get to Fauci. Trump, look how much Trump's leaning on Fauci. If we get Fauci to go against Trump, it's going to make Trump look terrible, which is, I think, exactly what happened.
Yeah,
they use this as a test, dude. These lockdowns were a fucking test. How much they could fucking get away with society being okay with it. This was a fucking test, dude.
See people's compliance. That absolutely was. It gave a lot of terrible people a lot of good data on people. How far people are willing to bend over before they say enough's enough.
Yeah.
What's funny is you're talking about like chopping the middle class and inflation and shit like that. I mean, as a day and 2 days ago, there's articles you can see right here online. I mean, Biden's talking about another $6 trillion fucking budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, with inflation already getting outrageous, it's going to just make things even worse.
And I'm not even talking about Biden like individually. Like our government is debating a $6 trillion budget. What are we doing?
It almost makes you feel like that whole like Alex Jones Great Reset thing is like a thing. Like we're like right on the cusp of it.
I think it is that whole like what is it, Davos group or some shit like that, the World Economic Forum. All that, I mean, they've published multiple economists and stuff in magazines like that, literally talking about the Great Reset and how this was a thing and what they were planning on doing right before it hit. And part of it was like, oh, by whatever year you're not going to own anything, you'll like have whatever set of income or whatever, and you'll be happy, you'll consume less. All this shit, like they just had. It's just these people just planning out how they want society. That stuff is real. That's a fact for sure.
It's fucking creepy.
It really is. It's really creepy. The fact these people think they can just come in and tell people how to do things because they got more money than other people. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean they did a numbers analytical study when they started sending out the coronavirus relief, like the money that they were sending to people between the first and the second and everything like that. And a lot of people that received that weren't in financial hardship and they didn't spend it afterwards, or they just invested it. Like they didn't need it. They didn't put it back into the economy. They didn't need it, like all that stuff. And the people and all the jobs that they have right now, just people aren't going for the jobs either.
Yeah.
and it's literally they're handing out and no one's spending, and it's looking like a reset.
Terrible recipe for the economy in the future right now.
Not to mention crypto. That's a scary thing, dude. Crypto's a scary thing to me.
And that's what they talked about, is a lot of people invested their coronavirus relief money into crypto.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think this most recent scare was, to try and get people to sell it off. You know, get the poors to sell off their shares that they might have put in with virus relief money.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it drop, have them sell it, then the rich people come back in and buy it up and all that super cheap.
Well, yeah, Robinhood was in controversy because people were trying to manage and sell and trade and do all that, and then all of a sudden the app was shut down. Every time that there was something big going on with a stock that wasn't supposed to happen, that no one saw coming, Robinhood, one of the most publicly traded apps because it's a free trading service, was having issues and no one could trade. And then when they were about to trade, they'd already lost out on the opportunity, and then they were coming under scrutiny for it.
Speaking of which, they did that again today.
Yeah, they've done it multiple times. It's like the fifth time. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about.
$60 again.
Which is insane.
I almost bought it the other day when it was at 30, and I heard that this was going to happen again. And I was like, should I? I'm kind of pissed I didn't. I would have doubled my money already.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening, is you buy into these companies, these free trading services, and then they're like, oh no, we don't do any of that. It's like, what are you talking about?
I feel like this too should be another eye opener for people, of this relationship between these companies that are manipulating the stock market like that, and who's it, the SEC, that's supposed to, oversee this shit. And where are they?
Lock them up in the Federal Reserve, dude.
Dude, seriously, lock them all fucking up in the Federal Reserve. It makes no sense to me.
I don't think you guys understand the concept yet. No, it literally is the bane of the conversation of control. If the masses think of a way to loophole the system finds a way to fuck you and then try to tell you that it was this or it was that. Whether it's on social media, whether it's on a financial trading service, whether it's on anything, they always publicly will say, well, no, it was this or that. And you have no power to do otherwise. Unless there is a civil revolt, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing. You can vote, you can talk shit, you can hashtag, you can post, you can be a social justice warrior, you can voice your opinion, you can fight the police, you could not fight the police. Nothing will matter unless there's a civil war. And I'm not advocating for a civil war, but I'm just saying.
Sounds like you want another insurrection, dude.
It doesn't need to be a civil war. It could be a peaceful revolution.
Then there can be, but I'm just saying, I don't even think that won't do anything.
It would. It could. Could definitely.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
So it sounds like, yeah, you want some blood and violence.
This is the military coming out right here.
Yeah. Sounds like he just wants some blood. He's like, I got some people I have my eye on for a while now.
I'm not advocating for anything.
I'm pretty sure Pelosi's immortal, so good luck.
Yeah. Immortal and drunk by 9 o'clock every morning.
That's why she's immortal, dude. Who's going to die first, seriously? Betty White or Nancy Pelosi?
Probably Betty White.
No, Nancy.
Unfortunately.
I should say, is Nancy Pelosi's career going to end before Betty White dies?
No. She'll still be insider trading to the day she dies.
Yeah.
Betty White's the life totem that's keeping Nancy Pelosi alive. I don't want a civil war. I don't want an insurrection. I don't want violence, but I'm just saying, I don't think anything would come to change unless there was such an occurrence. I mean, you look at the history of things, like when we were split as a country from top to bottom between slavery and not slavery and all that shit. The only way it was resolved was through blood and violence, and the most deaths.
Well, wait a minute. That's not what the war was over. The war wasn't over slavery, so that's not true. It was okay. Lincoln didn't want the Union split up, and he wasn't going to be the president that had the Union split up. That's what the real war was over.
I am mistaken. I'm not.
Which is why people take the Southern flag so serious.
I understand that. I'm just saying there was civil unrest to get that decided one way or the other. That's what I'm getting at. I apologize for getting my information wrong. I will own that. That is my bad.
It's not your fault, dude. That's how people are programmed to think.
No, that is how they teach it in schools.
That's how they teach it. It's just like with Clinton, how I brought up earlier. Chinagate isn't talked about, but that's like the real reason.
No, I don't remember my history 100%. I will admit it. It is what it is. I mean, that's part of our American education system, and me being an idiot. But I'm doing my best. All right.
You did join the military, so you got a point there.
I'm coming from a good place here. I'm just saying that the biggest changes in our history have been from violence, blood, and war. Can you at least agree on that? Am I right? I mean, that's the biggest changes in most of history.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the biggest changes. I'm not saying all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like our biggest significant changes. I mean, you look at the World War II, dropped a bomb on Hiroshima, eradicated 2 fucking cities. That changed the war. That changed a lot of shit. You know, like shit like that. You know.
Let's be real. The war was pretty much over when that happened.
Yeah.
I understand, but
that
I'm
was
just saying
literally we built a bomb. Let's drop it.
Yeah, that was
literally,
a pretty Cold War
that's
statement.
What that
like,
was.
hey, don't fuck with us.
That fucking war was over, brother. So once again, you got your history wrong, back to back.
Idiot! You're so stupid.
I'll just stop talking.
Didn't change the war.
Before we lose viewers.
That's
over
like
my
that's like the guy who's like, I didn't start that fight, but I sure as hell ended it. That's what that bomb was.
Yep.
All right. Well, I won't talk about history anymore. What I'm just saying is I don't think anything currently right now will change unless something violent happens.
Let's blow the moon up.
Elon Musk?
Is the moon even real, dude?
No, it's a hologram.
Is it a spaceship, dude?
I don't know, but I want to sign up for his internet service from the satellites that he has in space. The Satlink. I want to do that.
Neuralink, dude? Are you going to sign up for Neuralink? I have seen that, but are you going to sign up for Neuralink, dude?
I would.
Yeah, you wouldn't be afraid that thing would just like slowly take control over you.
Dude,
and
what
then
if it short circuits? Like, do you die?
We're already controlled. Dude, I joined the military.
Not like
they were sticking me with all sorts of shit.
You know how much shit he's been shot up with? He had this COVID vaccine 15 years ago when he joined the fucking military, dude.
Really?
It's the same fucking vaccine.
Why do you think, and I'm speaking me personally, when I walk around here in New Jersey and I go into places and they're like, oh, you don't have to wear a mask as long as you're fully vaccinated. And I'm like, huh. I just walk in.
It's like militaries and all those shots they give you guys always reminds me of the Grinch, which is a really weird correlation. But when they're shoving fucking food in his mouth and the guy's like, this isn't pudding. And he's like, what is it? He just takes it.
This is not pudding. Is that your uniform? It's not a dress, it's a kilt.
Are you two still living?
Yeah, I honestly don't care anymore, man. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I've probably got some shit. I honestly probably was tested with something. I don't care. I'm one of those weird military vets that they're like, oh, you know, it's not true. The conspiracies of like drugs and this and that. And I'm like, I still feel like it is, because I remember when they came out with the nose inhalant flu vaccine, and we were the first to try it. And I shit you not, I was in Korea, and it was the first time that I'd ever been given the flu shot where we had to go and do the whole like suck it up our nose. And they had a medic stand in front of us one by one, and they said, here's your dose. And if we didn't inhale it enough, and they didn't think that we actually took it, they gave us another one. So they stood there in front of you and made
another one.
I had to take it twice once, and I was sick for like 4 fucking days, but I still had to go do all my work. They didn't give a shit. They told me to drink water and stop being a pussy. That's all I got told. Okay. But I sat there and they were like, take the thing. And I was like, and they were like, oh, some ran down your nose. You didn't get it all. Here's another one. And I was like, I don't want to take, I just took it. And they're like, you have to take another one. Until you take a full one, we can't move on to the next person. I was like, okay. So I put it up the next nostril and I sucked it up. And I was just like, and then I come to find out when I came back to the States, that wasn't a thing. Like, we were the first to try that. They were like testing it on us before they made it public to like do it that way. Otherwise, everyone was still getting the arm shots for the flu. And I was like, oh, great.
Well, the COVID vaccine right now is the trial.
That's what I'm saying.
This is a trial run right now. I mean, this is the trial run.
Like, I've been there. That's why when people are like, you getting the COVID vaccine? Fuck no. I don't know what the hell I sucked up to my fucking brain. I'm not doing that. No, I'm not.
I'm going to have to look it up, but I was told by a girl, she works for another company, but she's very reliable and does research and stuff. I love talking to her about stuff. She actually brought up, she's starting to do some research into the Titanic and why it actually sank. And I was like, oh yeah, the bankers and
Yeah.
the Federal Reserve. I'm so happy you just brought that up. Like it made my day. But
That's what I want to get into deeper myself.
dude.
Like just to get the ins and outs of
yeah.
it.
So she was telling me there's some ingredient. It is for sure in the Moderna, but she thinks it's in the other two. She hasn't looked it up yet, but she knows for a fact it's in the Moderna. And it starts with an S, and I forget what it is. I'm gonna have to look it up. But it literally makes women infertile. Like it literally is almost like a sterilization chemical for women. It's super toxic for them.
I've heard about that. There's like a bunch of cases in Brazil of that going on right
now.
Yeah. And really mothers who are expecting and ones who have gotten vaccinated, like some issues going on with that. I know what you're talking about too, but I don't know what it's like. Is it the or something?
It's like S something. I don't know. Every time I say something like that, I just want to say FN2187. But
how about just Finn?
Yeah, Finn. But yeah, it starts with an S. I forget what it's called, but I was like, wow, I'm gonna try and
look it up, but I don't even know what to look for that. What it'd be called?
Yeah.
So as I've been listening to you guys talking about this, I've been looking up the nasal vaccine because I wanted to see if the nasal flu thing is still a thing. And it says as of like 2019 to 2020, the CDC recommends that it's not recommended to take that shit. And it says the nasal spray flu vaccine sold under the name Flu Mist is manufactured by AstraZeneca. It is a live attenuated influenza vaccine, which means that it contains a live strain of the flu virus, but not of a type or in a quantity that is sufficient to actually cause a flu infection. However, it does carry the risk for certain side effects, most notably the risk for a severe allergic reaction among some children, as identified by the CDC. Other potential side effects include cough, fever, headache, muscle aches, runny nose, sore throat, vomiting, wheezing, which I incurred all of that shit.
The flu.
And then it says, additionally, the CDC recommends against the usual of the nasal spray flu vaccine for certain individuals. This is true regardless of the vaccine's effectiveness in any given year. Those who should not receive the nasal spray flu vaccine include children younger than 2 years of age, children, and it just goes on to like children, blah, 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 blah. But like, yeah, they're like, don't take this shit. Like, it's not good anymore. They say on March 14th of 2019, the American Academy of Pediatrics announced that it will not be recommending the flu shot over the nasal spray flu vaccine for the 2019 to 2020 flu season. This represents a reversal of the AAP's position during 2016 to 2017 flu seasons when it recommended against, and it just goes on to basically say the shot's better than this. Don't suck this up to your goddamn brain.
I like
Makes
how
sense
they
you
say
guys would be the guinea pigs.
I like how they say it contains a flu strain, but not enough to give you the flu. Okay, you're literally injecting the flu into me.
That's what I'm saying. I did twice, 4 times actually.
Yeah.
This is why I'm retarded. Right. This is why it's always a long week.
This is why.
They're scrambling my brains.
Scrambling my brains. Oh, scary movie. Great quote. Well, honestly, I mean, we could talk about this for hours and hours. I mean, I think we pretty much wrapped it up as far as like Fauci emails and going into like, you know, everything from that and how this all just entails with this shit. I mean, you give us your opinions on this. I mean, is there anything else you guys want to say before we close this off?
No, let us know what you think.
No, yeah. I just hope people open their eyes to see how close this relationship, the government and these so-called private companies, and how they can easily craft a narrative and have people's minds.
Yeah, like we always say, just do your research, put motion aside, look at facts, look at information, look at research, look at everything that's written, do what you can, form your own opinion one way or the other. I mean, it's your right as an American to think one way or not, but we're just saying do the research, look at it, look at these emails. I will make sure that we get at least the BuzzFeed link attached to this in one way or another, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, everything. If it doesn't get taken down, hopefully not, you can look at these emails that we were reciting in this video so that you can see what we were talking about, so that you know we're not just blowing it out of our ass from our sources. And yeah, we will see you in the next episode. Have a great fucking day.
Peace.
Yep.